Field, that one's stalled to the right. Hunter on the move, racing back. It's over his head. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied. This game is tied. David Ortiz. David Ortiz. David Ortiz.
This is Red Sox Beat on CLNS.
I think it would be a big statement if John Farrell started Travis Shaw on opening day, and I'd be totally cool with it, because I think it would. If that doesn't give Sandoval motivation to play better defense and play better, period, nothing will.
I think they're going to make Jeter that first unanimous vote, and I hate that about baseball writers. If you belong in the Hall of Fame, you get voted in the Hall of Fame.
Achievement or a new milestone. They don't just be like, yay, we signed this player, so we're going to have a ceremony. Like, no.
Now, to your hosts.
All right, Red Sox beat CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage of New England professional sports. Of course, you can follow CLNS on social media. At Twitter, it's CLNS Media. Same thing with Facebook. Just search CLNS Media. Will pop up there. Of course, don't forget the free iOS and Android podcasting app. All the shows on the network, including ours, up there, ready to go. Stream it on your way to work. If you're at home, whatever it may be. Check us out there as well. We're on, of course, show Twitter at Red Sox_beat, Facebook, Red Sox Beat Podcast. So please go follow and all that good stuff if you're not already. On iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. Please keep subscribing. Do it. Review us. Get to the top. That'd be awesome. And don't forget to, of course, check out the CLNS Media website coming soon. It's very exciting stuff. So, Red Sox. Can't get much better than 6-0. Great week for them. No Jess this week. Lauren's with me. And Lauren, we never seem to predict undefeated. We just talked about it before we came on here, and it's really unfortunate for the first time we actually didn't get a chance to predict it, and it actually came true.
Yeah, we had pretty crappy predictions last week all around. I mean, I had them losing 2 from the White Sox, so worst is on me. I'll take that hit, but I mean, how can you not be in a good mood after this especially this whole homestand as a whole? It's just amazing. I
mean, if you wanted to put a disclaimer on it, we could. A little asterisk because they didn't play a game, so you never know. Granted, we would have been wrong either way because it would have only been 6-1. But that being said, I don't mind putting an asterisk next to it to protect us, protect our name, protect the good name that is the Red Sox Beat Predictions, whatever that is worth nowadays. But yeah, so we missed the game, obviously due to the rain. That's going to be made up soon. I think the 14th, I believe, of August. So that's coming around the corner against the Indians. But 2 good games against the Indians. Finally got Rick Porcello some run support this week.
Amazing.
Overall, when that starts happening, either pigs are flying or the Red Sox are playing well, and Red Sox are playing well, so don't look up for pigs. But, no Jess this week. We're going to do a recap. I'm usually the one that does it. Lauren's going to give it a crack this week. It's not going to be long. It's not going to be in depth. Sorry. Jess isn't here. He knows all the details.
It's probably not going to be very pretty, so.
Okay, so we're going to get through this together, Lauren. So why don't you take us around this wonderful week that was. You got a great week to recap.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only reason I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to do it because it's good.
It's good, and Jess said something about it. I have to do it. You have to recap this. So Monday when we were recording, we mentioned that they won 6-2. Doug Fister pitched a really good game, 7 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks. Really not too bad. This night he replaced David Price, and we had a field day with that last week. Let's see, Rafael Devers went 4 for 4, and Eduardo Nunez continued to prove this was a good trade because he had 3 hits, 2 RBI, and he stole a base. And, I mean, this is probably the least exciting game of the week, but I just want to talk quickly about Doug Fister because obviously he did not pitch well coming into Monday's game, and then he just goes out there and gets into the 8th inning. So definitely wicked positive for that. And then Rafael Devers and Eduardo Nunez, we had them as co-MVP last week, and I feel like these two just can't be stopped right now.
No, and I think with Fister, and we'll always talk about Nunez and Devers, especially coming up because I want to talk about Pedroia and what happens with him because he's supposed to be coming back this week too, as early as tomorrow, I think. But, with Fister, I'm curious if this is something that, he pitched like this in Detroit, 2 good starts in a row after kind of adjusting to the Red Sox uniform. Like, what happens when Price comes back? Are you going to let this guy not pitch? I know Price is probably won't even pitch till September at this point, the way it probably is, because they're probably hiding something or hiding him. But, this guy is a legitimate 5th starter, and you're okay without David Price right now.
Yeah, you're very okay without him right now. And, if Fister keeps pitching this way, maybe it'd be smart just to keep David Price out until playoffs. I mean, I guess it really depends on how Fister pitches and how Price feels with his elbow or his feelings. It really could go either way.
Seriously, if the ego's a little damaged, probably not okay. But look, I mean, we talked about this week, and I know I made our predictions not thinking that they would win the Doug Fister game over, and I thought they were going to lose the Chris Sale game. We'll talk about that in a second. But, you know, this game felt more like a Chris Sale game than the actual Chris Sale game did. It wasn't as dominant as Chris Sale has been. But, you know, Doug Fister came out and really just was in control of this game the entire time. His stuff was moving. The batters seemed like they were just confused, not sure. He got some good defensive help as well behind him, which is a good sign for the Red Sox. But, you know, overall, Lauren, the game wasn't boring, but that's almost the way you want it. I mean, the game was kind of boring, but, like, that's the way you want it. Because, you know, they were in control the entire time. You have good pitching, you have some good offense to get you ahead, and you never really look back.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was probably the least exciting game of the week, but it was still exciting, you know, because they were in control the whole time. Betts went 2 for 5, Nunez 3 for 5, Devers 4 for 4. So it was just, you really had it all there. And then that brought us into Tuesday, which was probably the best game of the year. It had absolutely everything. The Red Sox ended up winning 12-10. And it did not look pretty. I'm going to read the numbers for Chris Sale real quick. It's 5 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs, and 5 strikeouts. That does not sound like Chris Sale at all this season.
No.
It definitely showed he was human. It definitely showed that he's also a psychopath, and these games just kind of bring out the best and worst in him. And I'm not glad that he had an outing like this, but it just goes to show that he's human. He's going to have a bad start, and it came out. You know, Cleveland went up 5-0 in the second, and then it kind of looked like from there that this game was just going to be garbage. You know, we had the Austin Jackson catch from robbing Hanley Ramirez of a home run. Kind of like the 2013 Torrey Hunter, but he actually made the catch and went into the Red Sox bullpen. But it was kind of cool. Like, I mean, it was an amazing catch. If you haven't seen it, please go find it. But you know,
if you haven't seen it, you probably either aren't a baseball fan, and why are you listening to this podcast at that point, or you're living under a rock.
So if you're living under a rock, go check it out, because even if you're not a baseball fan and you're listening right now, go check it out, because it's going to make you appreciate this. And what's really cool is Fenway gave Jackson a standing ovation after, and it was pretty cool. I mean, I was, you know, shocked that he caught that, and then it was just, like I said, this game had everything. So twists and turns all game. Cleveland was up by 5. Boston tied it in the bottom half of the second. Cleveland added 2 more runs in the 5th. Boston said, screw you, we're going to score 4 more in the 6th. Cleveland said, no, screw you, we're going to take the lead back in the 9th. And Christian Vasquez had the biggest screw you of the whole night and hit his second home run of the season. And it was a walk-off, his first walk-off home run. And definitely very special for him. He said at the end of the game his dad and his family were in the stands. Obviously a special night for the Red Sox fans with a game that, you know, we talked last week, Chris Sale was pitching, so it's an automatic win. Didn't really look that way for a long time. And but the 9th inning was just absolutely wild, because it started off with Jackie Bradley Jr. flying out. Rafael Devers reached on infield single. Mitch Moreland tried to check his swing, but didn't, but he ended up reaching first anyway. And that brought Vasquez to the dish, and then we all know what happened from there. So this game was absolutely wild. Mitch Moreland was 2 for 5. Nunez 3 for 5, 4 RBI that game for him. And just, like I said, uncharacteristic start for Chris Sale. I
think it's weird, too. You know, I mean, this game deserved the strikeout to end the game, but not really to end the game. Mitch Moreland situation to get Vasquez to the plate. And this game was weird. You know, a lot of offense. Not when you came into this game, the pitching matchup was not. It was Sale Carrasco, if I'm right. So, you know, it's not something that you expected. And the game kind of turned on inside out, and, you know, you thought, oh, Chris Sale gave up 5 runs. Great. Okay, the Red Sox tied it. Chris Sale will be dominant. We'll get a couple runs. You'll win this game. Gives up 2 more. And then it's like, okay, we're screwed if this is happening during a Chris Sale start. But then, you know, people forget, you know, Addison Reed pitched this game, gave up a run in the 8th, still gave Kimbrel a chance for the save. Kimbrel looked like crap. He was all over the place. Thank God it was just that one game, it seems like. But, you know, this game deserves a Christian Vasquez walk-off homer to dead center field. Like, this is the way the game was supposed to end. Crazy enough, I didn't think it was going to end this way. I'm happy I watched it. But, you know, it's one of those things where you take the confidence. Finally, the offense could pick up Chris Sale, because Chris Sale has bailed out this offense so much this year. It's nice to see this team come together. Every time the punch went against Chris Sale, the offense punched right back for him. It was great to see, and man, I've been on the Christian Vasquez train since day one. You can attest to that, Lauren. And
sure
seeing him hit that bomb, I got so jacked up, and his just follow through was great, because he swings like he's in Little League still. learning the basics. Like 2 swings, fall through all the way, point to where you finish, and he pointed that ball all the way out. It was fantastic.
It was great. It was so much fun, and this game, just like I said, it had everything. It had, good catches, good offense, defense. It had everything you want in a ball game, and it's what makes baseball so exciting, especially for diehard fans like us, and especially, we're so on this Chris Sale wagon where it's like you said, the offense has just bailed him out, or he's bailed the offense out so many times where it was nice to see the offense come out and the bats come alive and just help him for once. Thank you, offense.
Oh, God, yeah. About time.
Absolutely. And then that brought us into Wednesday, but that game ended up being postponed, so we're not even going to talk about Wednesday. Thursday, Rick Porcello was on the mound, and oh my God, they scored runs for him.
Yeah, really.
It was absolutely incredible. They had 7 runs through 2 innings. Andrew Benintendi was 3 for 3. Nunez, once again, 2 hits and an RBI. Everybody in the lineup had at least 1 hit, and this was Porcello's first win since June 23rd. The Red Sox had 15 hits on the night, and Andrew Benintendi's like the star of this game. 3 for 4, 2 doubles, RBI single, reached base all 5 times he was at the dish. And this was a special game for Rafael Devers, which I feel like I've said his name 100 times already. He hit his first home run at Fenway at his first at-bat. It was a 2-run shot. And then Mookie Betts had a 2-run home run as well. Porcello got out of a jam with a huge strikeout, a four-seam fastball, with a runner in scoring position, with the score at 7-5. So it really had no room for error there. And it was so good to see runs scored for this guy because, he's 5-14 now. He should easily be 10 and not 14, whatever. And he pitched 5 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, 6 strikeouts, and gave up a lot of hits, a lot of runs still. But like I said, everybody in this lineup had a hit. They all came together for 15 hits total and 9 runs altogether. So just very solid game again from the offense and the defense.
These are the games that last year he won all the time, right? He didn't pitch great, and he still got the wins because the offense was phenomenal. It's about time they get him a win, at least one win like this. I know the offense isn't as good as it was last year. We've talked about that at length. But, this offense is starting to hit its stride, seeing Devers, Nunez, and all these guys start to play a little better. And for Porcello, he's reaping the benefits of it now. So maybe it's not an outlier. Maybe they'll come back for his next start and actually score some runs too. Because, look, he wasn't great in this game, Lauren. That's the thing. It wasn't like he came out, only gave up 2 runs, and they still scored those runs. He needed every run he got. So it's one of those things where hopefully next time he doesn't need the runs, he still gets them, because I think that'll give him confidence. Because I feel like part of him thought, okay, well, at some point these runs are gonna run out, and I'm not gonna, and it's in his head at this point. So if he can now win another game without having to give up 5 runs, because he's lucky, honestly, they scored 9.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't a very solid start by Porcello at all. I think he's had much better starts when he's lost the game before than this one, but it comes down to the offense, because the offense bailed him out a lot last year, and they're just not doing it this year, even though he's pitching, he's not pitching horrible. But so it's nice to see the offense come alive. Like this week just had it all, like bad pitching, good offense, bad pitching. And I'm so happy that he finally got his first win since June, and that the team just figured out how to hit and score for him.
Seriously, it's about time. But again, I hope it's not an outlier. I hope that next start he gets run, because this is like we're preaching the fact that he got run support, but like, what if next game he doesn't get run support? We're back to where we started.
Yep, and I guess we'll see this week in Florida when he's pitching. So hopefully he'll come up big. The offense will come up big again, and I don't really know what else to say about that game, because it was just it was good. This whole week was good, like we've talked about, but I just hope in this next start that he can pitch a little better, but the offense can still score runs. I don't think I'm asking for much there. No,
you're definitely not.
And then Friday, this was a fun game too. John Farrell's 55th birthday celebration. Eduardo Rodriguez was on the mound, pitched 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. This was another fun game. The Red Sox were down 2-1 in the 6th, and they really needed an offensive spark. And who do you think? Eduardo Nunez was like, say no more, friends. And he sent an absolute moonshot over the Green Monster and tied the game. The game was tied heading into the 9th. Kimbrel was on the mound. Sticky situation because he allowed back-to-back singles, but he did get out of that. And this game would need extras to decide the winner. And in the 11th, Mitch Moreland, Mitchie Fourbags, our good friend over here, came to the dish. And this was his first at bat because he took over for Hanley Ramirez in the 10th because he has oblique tightness or soreness, so he came out of the game.
Baby.
And then Mitch Moreland decided he had enough and didn't want to play anymore and sent a home run into the Green Monster and for the walk-off win. And this celebration was super fun. I'm sure you've seen the pictures. Everyone's just so excited and just throwing the stuff all over him. I love these celebrations because, I mean, we've had plenty of walk-off wins this year. We've seen them enough, but they just never get old. They're so much fun. Mitch
Moreland, quote, hold my beer. Like, seriously. Comes off the bench, plays defense, and hits a walk-off ding-dong in replace of Hanley. Like, that's phenomenal. And, look, I mean, nothing should go untalked about in terms of what Nunez has been doing. Every time this guy needs a big hit, somehow he gets it. When the Red Sox don't have a run, he hits a solo home run. When he needs this at bat, he's been gotten a big hit after a big hit every game he's played in. And like I said, we're going to talk about him at length in a little bit after the recap here because there are some tough questions coming up, and this guy can't be taken out of the lineup at this point.
No, I don't think so either. And going to Saturday, I was at this game. This was definitely a fun game to be at.
Shocker, Lauren at a baseball game at Fenway Park.
My first one ever, guys. I promise. Yeah. Drew Pomeranz was on the hill, which I was kind of excited about because originally it was going to be Doug Fister, but then they shifted things. And so Pomeranz was on the mound, and he threw 6 1/3 innings, 7 hits, and struck out 8. He did start off kind of shaky. He gave up a home run on just the second pitch of the game, but didn't really seem to bother the Red Sox. They took the lead in the next half inning because Andrew Benintendi hit a 2-run home run, and then JBJ mirrored that in the following inning as he sent an absolute bomb over the White Sox bullpen. That went pretty far. I was out in the bleachers at that point, and that was it went extremely far. And then the White Sox did not go away. They tried to threaten in the 7th. They had a runner on first, but Mookie Betts flashed his leather and did Mookie Betts things. He made a catch in the outfield and caught Alan Hansen off guard. Betts threw the ball back to Mitch Moreland, stepped on first, complete the double play, and the inning. And Brock Holt also made a great play at second when he tagged out Abreu, but he was initially called safe, but it only took 53 seconds for the umpires to be like, no, we screwed up, and the call was reversed. Kimbrel got his 26th save, and the White Sox are just not good. This is it was a good game for the Red Sox, not the White Sox. Drew Pomeranz got his 11th win. It's tying his career high. And he also has not lost since the beginning of June. So I don't think Pomeranz is really getting the credit this year that he deserves. And I think he's getting, overshadowed, for, by Chris Sale and Porcello and all the Price drama and everything. So I think Pomeranz, he's doing exactly what he should be doing as a, 3rd, 4th, 5th starter.
But see, isn't that a good thing for him, though, the underwhelming kind of support? Because I feel like for him, at least what I've seen of him, he's the type of pitcher that flourishes not being noticed, if that makes sense. Like, when he did well before he came here, when he was in San Diego, he wasn't known. He was on the West Coast, and yeah, he was an all-star. Then he comes here, gets the attention, and sucked, right? And obviously he was hurt. That was part of it. But now he's, like you said, he's under the likes of Chris Sale, David Price, excuse me. And it's one of those things where maybe he's just okay with being the 4th, 5th guy and pitching well when he gets his chance, and other than that, just not being in the spotlight. Because you don't even hear much from Pomeranz. He talks in his nights, but he doesn't make news. He just goes out, pitches, and is a good teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. And 1 walk and 8 strikeouts. That's really, really good. And I knew walks were an issue for him last year, and just he's really kind of becoming like a strikeout machine. I know we talked Eduardo Rodriguez was kind of becoming that before he went on the DL again. And now Pomeranz has kind of taken over that. So it's definitely it's so nice to see just because, he was hurt. He had all that going around him last year. And then this year we were kind of like, no, God, is he going to be all right? And he just comes out and he's just shining. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, seriously, he is actually pitching well. And look, I've been one to say, oh, he's not good, blah, blah, blah. I'm convinced. I think he's good enough. He's not a top of the rotation guy. He never will be. It's not what he is. But 4 or 5 guy, bottom of the rotation, and a guy there to help you along the process, especially where Eduardo Rodriguez is coming back from injury, Price is dealing with an injury if he really is, and all this situation. It's a nice guy to know that if Pomeranz is on the mound, he's not going to suck. He might not be great every game like Chris Sale is, but that's fine because you don't need that every game.
No, you don't. And just like David Price, he was pitching really well, and then Doug Fister came in and decided to say, hey, I'm going to pitch well this week too, bring us into Sunday to close out our 6-0 week. He was on the mound for the second time this week, and once again, solid start from him, 6 1/3 innings, did give up 8 hits, only 3 runs, and struck out 7. So definitely another quality start for him, and something I'm very excited about, just because he hasn't pitched well so far except this past week. So this game, definitely a lot of fun too. Sox jumped out to an early 2-0 lead from home runs from Eduardo Nunez and the hero of the game, Chris Young, who made this game extremely fun. But Chicago got to Doug Fister the next inning. They had 4 straight hits. They would take a 3-2 lead. So people, Red Sox fans, like, here we go again. Here's the Doug Fister we know. But Chris Young was like, no, I got you. Don't worry. And he doubled, drove in Andrew Benintendi, tied the game at 3. And then the White Sox, which I'm still boggled by this decision, they, in the 5th, decided to intentionally walk Benintendi to get to Chris Young. I know Benintendi was, he's been hot this week after not playing the last few games. I understand that, but to get to the guy who's already driven in 2 runs on the night was just the stupidest thing they could have done. And he did exactly what you think he did. He hit a 3-run shot, hit off the foul pole of the Green Monster just to make it out of there. And they gave the Red Sox a 6-3 lead, and that's all they really needed. Kimbrel came in, got his 27th save, and they completed that 4-game sweep of the White Sox. And the bullpen helped shut it down. Addison Reed, Matt Barnes, and Kimbrel all threw shutout innings. Doug Fister was good, and Chris Young was the hero, 3 for 5 RBI and 2 home runs. And it's like Chris Young, the unsung hero. Who would have thought this guy would have come in and just had the game of his life?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you could say you miss Mookie Betts, but then Chris Young did this, and you miss these guys, but then guys are stepping up. And look, Chris Young was never a bad thing. When you bring him onto this team a year ago, or was it last year or 2 years ago? Chris Young was brought here 2 years ago now. Has it been 2 years?
Has it been 2 years already?
Wow, time flies. But when you came here, you're like, oh, it's a good ad. He's coming from the Yankees, yeah, but still a thing. And then now it's like, okay, this guy can hit the crap out of the ball. And it's showing in a game like this where you don't really know what to expect. End of the series against the White Sox, you always think, okay, maybe they slack and don't win a game. This might be the game we always talk about, Lauren, where it's a bad team. You slip up a game, it's okay. You already won 3. You've won your last 5. They came back and they won this game, and kudos to them because they should have beat them, and they actually did.
Yeah, and it was great. It was another game where I was thinking, oh God, we're going to lose. And I know the White Sox are a terrible team. They're like 3-18 or 3-19 since the All-Star break. But, the Red Sox, we talked about this before we came on the air, that the Red Sox always seem to lose to the worst teams. And that's why I picked them to split the series, because I'm like, there's always something that happens. And, with David Price going on the DL, I'm not really sure who's going to fit in that 5th spot. And it was just very shaky at that point. But, I'm so happy they proved me wrong. I'm taking that hit this week. And, thank God for Chris Young, Nunez, and even Devers. These guys are just absolutely tearing it up right now. Seriously.
And, Nunez and Devers are probably those bats, fans always, you got to trade for a bat. You got to do this. They did. Nunez, it wasn't the splash, but you didn't have to give up top prospects. And the Red Sox management said, do not trade away those prospects. Ownership did, and it paid off. You have Devers come up here now, who's playing well. Nunez is there, and look, I don't know. This team's clicking right now, and look, I'm not saying I'm convinced by any means. Last time they won 6 games in a row, they went and plummeted, and David Price happened. So who knows? But at least it's nice to see them kind of get it back, because it could have been really worse, and now you're still in first place. You're kind of getting that nice edge back to your team, and whether they're playing together for everything that happened or not, I don't care. It looks like they're finally playing together.
It is, and I absolutely love it. And I know I've been going back and forth for MVP of the week, and it's just, I could give it to Nunez and Devers again. I could give it to Chris Young. I could give it to Chris Sale for being human, Mitch Moreland, Christian Vasquez. I'm just going to give it to the entire team this week, just because the bullpen was great. The offense came alive. Defense was awesome too. I can't just pick one person this week, and that might be an easy answer, but
it's a cop-out.
It is, but look at the week we had. I could give it to anyone.
I give it to Christian Vasquez, because why the hell not? I think he deserves it. He actually had a really good week, despite the homer. He actually had a pretty good week, and he caught a lot. And the one blemish is maybe the game he caught Chris Sale. Yeah, he walked off, so people forgot, but also he had to catch that game. He wasn't supposed to be in that game, people. If Sandy Leone wasn't a little banged up, Christian Vasquez wouldn't have been behind the plate, because Sandy Leone is Chris Sale's guy.
Yep, he most certainly isn't it?
And I think it might have showed when he settled down a little bit, but first couple innings, Chris Sale was not comfortable, you could tell, and it has something to do with it. That catcher-pitcher relationship means a lot, and clearly it meant a lot to Chris Sale because he was not good.
That just goes to show just how strong the trust is right there. That's why, Doug Mirabelli caught Tim Wakefield. Maybe because he could also catch the knuckleball, but, you establish that trust right there. It's why Veritek is one of the best catchers in the game, is because he establishes that trust right off the bat. He knows his pitchers, and, Chris Sale and Sandy Leon have that connection right there. Like, Leon knows Sale, and that's exactly what you need.
Yeah, and it's good that Vasquez has panned out, and Leon, who knows, because Swihart, I think I saw today, Swihart's playing third and first now. They're teaching him the hot corners. Yeah, it sounds like Swihart just can't, his knees or whatever, or just can't catch on a day-to-day basis anymore. So it sounds like they're teaching him the ways of the third and first. So we'll see what that happens.
14 years old. He can't be having knee issues like that.
Well, he's an old man. He has knee issues, but he'll get over it. He'll play first base or play third base. You never know. That being said, he's going to be traded at some point, I'm sure. Okay, so Lauren's wonderful recap and the wonderful 6-0 week was brought to you by our good friends at SeatGeek. Of course, the ticketing app, the smartest and easiest way to buy and sell sports and concert tickets. Get your $20 rebate on your first purchase. You know how to do this, of course. It's downloading that SeatGeek app. Go to the phone, settings tab in the app, click add a promo code. It's the one-word promo code, Garden Report. Tell them who sent you. Get your $20 rebate, of course. Thank you to our friends at SeatGeek, CLNS Media, of course, sent you. But, to get your $20 rebate, have some exciting stuff down the line with this show. We'll announce some stuff later on in the month in regards to new friends of the show. We'll leave it at that. Okay, so one thing I do want to touch on is the fact that Dustin Pedroia is supposedly coming back this week, Lauren. I think the earliest he's available is Wednesday, I think, or I don't even know. But I know it's this week, and it sounds like he's on track to do that. So, Lauren, if you are the wonderful, amazing, best manager ever, John Farrell, what would you do with Dustin Pedroia, or even not Tense Nunez? What would you do with either one of them?
This is so hard because the team's playing so well, and you don't want to mess up the chemistry that they have now. But, John Farrell's mindset is probably, I have to play Pedroia if he's available. I think for the first game he is available. I think he's not going to play. I think he'll be available on the bench.
Yep.
I think that's exactly what he'll do. I don't see him being in the starting lineup, at least for the first game. If he's, if Nunez or Holt or whoever doesn't play well or, kind of loses their mojo, I think then Pedroia will get the start. I don't think it's a matter of Pedroia earning his starting position back. That's his position until he leaves this team, no matter what. But I think if you're Farrell, you need to be careful because he may not be 100%. You don't really know. And you need to be careful, especially, it's mid-August almost. We're coming up on September, which means we're coming up on playoff baseball. So you need to be extremely careful with the people who really mean the most to you. And obviously, like Nunez is doing really well right now. But if I'm Farrell, I make Pedroia available off the bench, but I don't mess with this lineup right now. Yeah.
If anyone, I sit Bogarts, and I hate to say that.
Whoa.
But Lauren, he's played like crap. That's the thing. He's made defensive errors. He hasn't been himself, and I think he hasn't had any competition either, which doesn't help him. I think competition's healthy, and for me, I look at it as a situation where Bogarts has had no threat to come off the field. John Farrell clearly has no threat to take him off the field. And, Morero's not up here anymore. So when Pedroia comes back, you have to strongly consider. And maybe it's not the first game, like you said. He'll probably be a game where Pedroia's just available, and see what happens. But Pedroia's first start, you can't sit Nunez. He's got to be in the lineup every day until his bat cools off at this point. So, and you can't sit Devers because he's been playing well. So it's one of those things where now Devers is there at third base. Maybe Devers DHs at some point because if Hanley's not coming back, you can kind of rotate that around as well. Where maybe Nunez or Chris Young even or one of these guys DHs to let Pedroia and Nunez both be on the field at the same time and Bogarts still plays because it sounds like Farrell wants Bogarts to work his way out of this funk he's in, but it's been a while now. I think he needs to sit a couple games, get his butt used to the bench a little bit, put a fear in him. But I think the best play is sit Bogarts, let Pedroia play second base. He deserves it. He can't lose his job to injury, especially who Pedroia is. Nunez can play short, and then always rotate when you put Bogarts back in. Devers can DH. Nunez can DH. The way he's hitting, there's options for sure. But overall, you just can't take Nunez's bat out of the lineup.
No, you can't. And he was just absolutely solid this week. Like I said, he was he had 3 for 5 in one game. He had home runs in other games, and it was just, I feel like every single game he contributed in some way, in some form. So you can't take that out. And I don't think, as much as Farrell likes to play with the lineups and make those kinds of crappy decisions, that I know, as much as I love him, I know he is capable of screwing up with this lineup. You just can't do it right now. You're coming off a 7-2 homestand, and you're going against an AL team where you really need to have your best baseball. So I don't see him doing anything drastic with this lineup, and I swear to God, if he takes Nunez out, Twitter's just going to have an absolute field day with it. If you thought people called for John Farrell's firing before, if Nunez is out of this lineup, people might go down there with pitchforks and wait for him at this point. It would be bad. Look, Nunez, there's no secret. Nunez and Devers are kind of the spark plug that finally ignited this offense, and I think others are feeding off of it. Vasquez with the walk-off, Mitchie Fourbags with the walk-off. Other guys with big hits in big spots. They're running bases aggressively, stealing bases again successfully. Like, these guys are clicking. So this is the time to take advantage of that, and pitching's a big thing now because, the rotation's been something where we haven't really complained about all year because they've been consistent. The bullpen's been my biggest gripe, and they fixed that, and I want to get to that in a second too. But, with starting pitching right now, we talked about it. Pfister, our good friend Drew Plumwans is pitching well, and you have other guys finally pitching well. David Price had to stop throwing. He keeps feeling a soreness in his elbow. He didn't throw for the weekend. So, Lauren, this was supposed to be a 10-day thing, supposedly, according to the team with David Price. X been back. This whole thing's been back. When does David Price pitch again this year? I mean, I said it earlier. I think if Pfister keeps doing what he's doing, we're not going to see him to the playoffs. And it does concern me now. I know that we were like last week, no way, there's no injury, there's no way, he's just a big baby. And what concerns me is that when somebody goes on the 10-day DL, and especially someone like Price, when this whole thing happened with Eck and everything, and now they're saying he can't throw, or he's not that he can't throw, he's just not going to because of the soreness in his elbow. Then I start to get worried because he was pitching very well. We all know he can pitch well. He throws hard. And it's getting to be a concern now that maybe there is a real injury here, and this elbow thing is legitimate. And maybe he should have had the surgery at the beginning of the year. And I'm just kind of sitting here like, maybe he is hurt. And I mean, it's terrible timing regardless, but if he can't throw by this week, the very beginning of next week at the latest, I'm going to start having some major concerns that we're not going to see him for the rest of the year. If
he doesn't throw by the end of this week, he's probably done for the year. I think I agree with that statement because, and me being a pessimist, I'm not surprised by that. But look, it's supposed to be a 10-day situation. He went on the DL, a week ago? Like, it's one of those things where he had a ball in his hand, like, 3 days after he got put on the DL, throwing long toss, and all of a sudden he got shut down. So there's some concern there. And look, a lot of people, including myself, said, David Price, have the surgery. Do it in spring training. Way back when. It's like it was yesterday. We talked about this. And a lot of people said, oh, no, he'll be fine. He'll get through it. And he was, and he's fine. But now look what's happening. He should have had the surgery. And I get it. At this age, it's fearful of, am I going to come back the same way? But now you might not come back at all. If you can't get over this, maybe he has the surgery now, but then what's the point? It'd be nice. I mean, whatever. But I'd rather have David Price than Doug Pfister. I'm sorry. As well as Doug Pfister is pitching, I'd rather still have David Price. And this is a situation now where he should have had the surgery back in February, off season, whatever it would have been, and now he's doing it. He potentially could be having the surgery now, Lauren. If he has that surgery, he's probably not even back till around July next year.
Yeah, which is scary. I mean, I hate elbow injuries because they're so hit or miss. 9 times out of 10, they're getting Tommy John surgery. And then, I mean, look at Steven Strasburg, who's had Tommy John surgery. And it just, he's not the same anymore. And I think he's pretty sure he's younger than Price. And I know there's been success stories with Tommy John that people come back and just absolutely dominate him. And Christian Vasquez had Tommy John surgery. So, I mean, I know he's a catcher. It's completely different. But you just think of elbow injuries and what they've done to other players. And it's, Price isn't a spring chicken, but he's not old either. But I mean, he's 31, comes back, he's almost 33, and it's just another year wasted off his contract, and it's frustrating. And it's just, I mean, I was relieved that he wasn't going to have the surgery, but at the same time, I'm like, it's still an elbow injury. He still felt crappy enough to go see Dr. James Andrews, which we all know, go see Dr. James Andrews, your season or your career is going to be over when you go see him. And it's very rare when they come out and he's like, no, you don't need any type of surgery. So it just makes you question what was really said when he went to go meet with them back in February.
Yeah. I'm scared something happened behind closed doors with that meeting now, especially with him not pitching now. Yeah, all right. Yeah, doctors, no, you can go play. Like, I'm scared. I mean, like, Andrews is a professional, so you don't want to think that. But, Red Sox have influence. Ownership has influence. So you don't know. But now you look at this situation where if he's out, this bullpen needs to be even more successful than they already are, because you added Addison Reed, who, besides that one run that homer he gave up, he's been pretty good in a Red Sox uniform so far. No surprise. Joe Kelly's coming back off an injury. The big one for me, Lauren, is Brandon Workman, because not a lot of people have been singing his praise because of the names. Reed, the acquisition, Kimbrel still being Kimbrel, Barnes still is a liability. So these guys are there, but Brandon Workman's been steadily consistent. And my question is, and I'm curious about it because, you saw Carson Smith. I think he pitched a rehab. He had a rehab outing in Portland. If I was right, Lauren, on that one, I think he didn't pitch too well. But, again, first time in a while. But how important is Carson Smith? I mean, it'd be huge if you can get him back. But, with the bullpen the way it is right now, if Joe Kelly's getting healthy, Brandon Workman is a kind of a key piece that, might not even need Carson Smith to be successful. It wouldn't hurt. But Brandon Workman's been a huge help for this bullpen.
Yeah, and like you said, he doesn't get the praise he really deserves. And, going back on Carson Smith, I don't even know. I mean, are we ever going to see this guy? And I know it's very unfortunate with the timing of his injury and just not being really able to come back from it. But he's pitching in his second rehab game tomorrow, so Tuesday, for everybody listening tonight, for AAA. And he began, you were right, AA Portland. Wow, it's been almost, a little over a year since his surgery. Like you said, it didn't go well. Looks like he faced 4 batters and walked the first 3 of them. So it definitely didn't go well. But, I mean, it's his first one. I'm not too concerned about it. But at the same time, I'm really not in a rush to get him back because our bullpen looks great. And, you said Addison Reed's been awesome. Joe Kelly came back from the DL. And, I mean, I think Joe Kelly's just a perfect bullpen man. And, Workman's been great. Everyone's been great. Barnes hasn't been awful, which is weird to say. And obviously Kimbrel is just Kimbrel, but it just kind of blows my mind that, when we got Carson Smith, he was supposed to be this really good setup man, and now it's like we don't even need him right now.
Brandon Workman, obviously we know the crap that he dealt with. Hadn't pitched since like 2014, I think it was. This year he has 13 games, CRA is under 2, it's a 1.86. Obviously no saves, but he has 19 in the third innings pitched, only giving up 18 hits, only 4 runs in those innings, a couple ding-dongs, and has 18 strikeouts in the process with like a 1.08 whip. Like, for a guy who hasn't been pitching, Lauren, and a guy who has gone through a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't really know on a day-to-day basis, Brandon Workman could potentially be a really key cog to a reason why the Red Sox might actually go deep in a playoff push. Obviously, they're in the lead for the division right now, and he's a good reason why they might win the division if he keeps kind of solidifying 6, 7, 8, whatever inning they have him pitching down the stretch.
Yeah, Brandon Workman, MVP. Here we go.
Oh, man, that's too soon. Let's not go that far. But, look, I've been one to criticize the bullpen. I have all year. I thought you needed one more arm. You got it. You got Addison Reed. That's a huge deal for me. I don't even care if he's a rental because it's worth the deal. You got that extra help. You could re-sign him. Who knows? You might like it here and you can get him at a decent price. Maybe you bring back Addison Reed next year. But at least this way, you solidify with that one surefire guy who you trust to put in the 8th inning and you work from behind him. And that works for this team, I think, because of the way the offense is playing and with the guys like Workman, Joe Kelly, maybe Carson Smith comes back and produces a little bit. But with the price situation, the bullpen, Lauren, is even more important than it already was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know we talked about it at the beginning of the season that we thought the bullpen was going to be really good, really solid, and at times they were awful, but lately they've just been absolutely just dominant, and they've proven they can go, 5 shutout innings, 3 shutout innings, or just 1. We need it from Kimbrel, but they've been absolute fire this whole week, really, and it's just like, I mean, don't try to tweak it, don't try to do anything with it, because everything's perfect right now.
Yeah, I think they got to stick with the status quo. John Farrell, just hit the right buttons. Just keep hitting the buttons. That's it. Just put them out in the field. But look, on the field, it's definitely been a success so far. Obviously, after the All-Star break, they struggled, won their last 6, and they're going into a week. We'll predict in a little bit, but all in the division. I think they're a tick under 500 within the division this year, Lauren. So it's kind of a big week for them in that sense because they're on the road and it's against teams who are in the hunt with them for first. So I think that, I always say it's a big week, but up and coming in the division where they haven't been successful all year, kind of important for them to kind of dig in here. But, on the field, it's been pretty off the field, hit or miss, right? I'm going to talk about NESN for a minute here because the NESN broadcast has been hit or miss all year. And, people have been questioning why Steve Lyons hasn't been around. And that was because of he was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend back in January, and he can go to trial and that whole story. Wade Boggs is going to be in the booth with the 2 games in Florida. Lauren, big picture with NESN. There's no question in my mind that Dennis Eckersley is the best analyst they have alongside OB. I love Jerry Remy, but Dennis Eckersley is actually really good at what he does. And, since this price thing, obviously he hasn't been traveling as much. I don't know if that's probably the Red Sox doing, but NESN really isn't a good broadcast, and part of the reason is I know they work for the team, but they don't let the broadcasters really do their job.
No, it's nothing against Dave O'Brien. I think he's great, but he's really great for radio. And every time I watch a game with my grandmother, she will sit there for every single inning. He talks too much. Oh my God, will he shut up? And my grandmother, she's been watching baseball for 89 years, so she's seen a lot of broadcasters and play-by-play analysts, and she's just not a fan. She loves Eckersley, but she's not a fan of really anyone else. And it's just, I wish, not that I think Sunday Night Baseball's broadcast is any better, but
it's garbage.
It's awful, and it's just like, I love listening to Eckersley. I love, and OB has some good things to say sometimes. He had the what a bummer line the other night.
That was awesome. What a bummer.
He's got a great radio personality for that, and it just doesn't translate well over to the TV aspect of it.
I think he's just done radio for so long that it's ingrained that he always needs to be talking. And look, OB is the least of my concerns. You can keep the job by big guy, but the fact is that the color analysts they bring in, when all this crap with Eckersley and Price happened, you replace Eckersley with Johnny Gomes, probably one of the bigger homers for anybody, if you just put him on a broadcast. Yeah, every time he talked about the team, he's saying we, like he was still on the team. And I like Johnny Gomes. He has a personality, but you don't say we on a broadcast. And I think overall, you add these guys and you bring all these guest guys in, you're rotating the door. Just find a guy, and you have one. It's Eckersley. Let him do his job. Don't be afraid to let him criticize the players a little bit. And I understand they're on the payroll, so they shouldn't be saying all the wrong things about the players. I understand there's some give and take there, and there's politics that you can't avoid. But the NESN broadcast as a whole isn't good. The video side of things, you have all the ads that are always running to keep you in the ballpark, all this crap. Like, the NESN broadcast is one of the lower rated ones in the league. I know I saw an article somewhere, and it was in the bottom third for sure. But with this broadcast, there's a reason why the ratings are down, because no one wants to watch NESN. Like, I would rather watch a nationally broadcasted version of the Red Sox than watch the NESN broadcast, because it's not a good output of what this team needs. And look, it was better. I don't know if it changed when Orsillo left. It might have. I don't even know. And I don't want to blame that because OB's fine, but the way they're changing it, it doesn't help me want to sit and watch a 3.5, 4 hour baseball game. I change the channel when they do stay right here. Nope, I'm gone. I'll be back in 2 minutes when the commercials are over. And then I can barely stand leaving NESN on as it is, and it's not entertaining. And this whole second chair fiasco is making it even worse.
It just sucks because, Remy and Orsillo had such good chemistry, and I know so many people I felt like were just attached to them. It was,
the pizza.
Oh my god, the pizza, the whoops, or pulling out his tooth, Orsillo getting a lamp. Like,
here comes the pizza. That's the best one.
That's the best one. I watched a 13-minute video of their best moments the other day, and I was like, this is exactly how I want to spend my free time.
Probably during the Red Sox game, because the broadcast was crap.
It just makes me really appreciate Orsillo and Remy as announcers and as analysts, and just they really, they sit there, they talk about baseball, but then they talk about something funny, and they had me laughing, like laugh out loud, like my stomach hurts laughing for a lot of their broadcasts. And I mean, I know Remy is dealing with the cancer relapse and his treatment, so obviously it's not his fault that he can't be there right now. But
I saw Remy last week.
You saw him?
I've never told you about that. I never texted you guys. Yeah, we were at side note, we can branch off here. Jake and Joe's in Waltham, Mass. You guys know I work in Waltham. The ones who actually know me.
I love Jake and Joe's.
Yeah, that's our local watering hole. I work at Constant Contact. For those of you who don't know that, full time. And we went there on a Friday afternoon after work, and lo and behold, Jerry Remy walked in. And we all double took, and I was like, guys, and they're like, yeah, that's Jerry Remy, right? 'Cause I'm like the sports guy in the office, and they're like, I was like, yeah, that is definitely Jerry Remy. They're like, so you're going to go over there and like talk to him, right? And I'm like, no, dude, he's like at dinner. I'm not going to go bug the guy. But like, it was kind of cool. It was like, wait, hold on. That's Jerry Remy out and about. Okay. What's up?
It is so cool seeing people like that in the flesh. Like I met Bobby Valentine in 2013.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it was the same thing. I was at Bobby Valentine's down in Connecticut, where obviously he's from and has that restaurant. And he just walked in, and I was like, no way. And the bartender was like, yeah, he's here all the time. And I was like, oh, all right. I took a picture with him. It was pretty cool. It's on my Facebook and my Twitter and everything. But I mean, wicked nice guy. And
yeah.
Obviously, what he did this team here was trash, but it's just funny just kind of being out and seeing somebody in the flesh like that. I was like, wow, like they're real people. They go out to eat too, and they go out for drinks, and they go out with their friends and family. And
yeah, and like everybody I work with was like, you're gonna go sign him, right? I'm like, guys, like I know, like I respect people outside of the media. Like the media members need like normal life. Like they can't just be bombarded. Like for us, we've been in locker rooms. Like these people are people. Like I don't want to like bug them out and about. But yeah, small tidbit. I forgot to tell you guys about that. Small. I didn't mean to drop the ball on that one, but yeah, what were we talking about? I did not mean to.
The broadcast and how crappy it is.
Yeah, that crap conversation. Look,
put David Ortiz back in the booth.
That was phenomenal. Okay, David Ortiz in the booth was great. He was cheering like, "Go, let's go, 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 go!" And like, David Ortiz has a job in any booth he wants, whenever he wants it. Johnny Gomes should never set foot in that booth again. Originally, I thought I was okay with Johnny Gomes being up there, and then watching his awkward tics, like his random trying to wink, whatever it was, I don't even know. Johnny Gomes is insane on the field. I don't mind him as a warrior. I want to go to battle with you, Johnny Gomes, but I don't want to watch you try to go to battle in a broadcast booth. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. But that's my piece on NESN and this whole thing going on. Because, look, Steve Lyons has issues. He's off the field dealing with his potential assault arrest, and Wade Boggs is going to call games. Who knows how that'll go. I'm intrigued by Wade Boggs because I know he knows the game, but still, there should be consistency. I can't imagine any other broadcaster around the league has this much like inconsistencies with their second chair. And honestly, I commend O'Brien even more for dealing with this, for what NESN is putting him through, because this is a guy who's been the best professional he possibly could have been, the ultimate professional throughout his entire career on the radio side and whenever he filled in TV. And now he gets his dream job basically, and now gets handed this crap as second chair, except for when Eckersley's in the booth. And it's just, I actually give him a lot of credit for what he has to deal with.
No, and you have to think of it that way too. Like, sometimes you could be going into the booth not knowing who you're going to be sitting next to, and just flip-flopping who you're sitting next to too. I mean, who knows, the chemistry's off. You got to kind of censor what you say, how you speak, and it's definitely frustrating because I like consistency in my commentators too, no matter what I'm watching. And I'm sure they would have kept Steve Lyons on had this whole report not come out, or if he just didn't put his hands on his girlfriend, if he could be a decent human being for a minute. And I mean, it frustrates me because I enjoyed Steve Lyons. I enjoyed him in the booth. I thought he was fun. Not nearly as much as I enjoy Eckersley. I think they should keep Eckersley. And I was not a fan of him at first. Not just this year, but in previous years, I didn't like him in the booth. And I've really taken a liking to him. Just, obviously I love the honesty and the brutality that comes from his mouth. And just, I don't mind when he says yuck or whatever. But I really, really have come to like Eckersley, and he makes the game fun. I like listening to just the way he talks and just talks about the game. He knows his game. And not that, Steve Lyons, Johnny Gomes, not that they don't know the game either, but there's just something very special about Eck. And like I said, it frustrates me that even, it's not consistent, because then Dave O'Brien can't establish the chemistry and the trust with his broadcasting partner. And, he gets a broadcasting partner, and then he goes and gets arrested. Like, that's a big thing. And, he didn't get arrested. Like, he didn't get arrested for something small. Like, there's charges on him, and he could be going to trial in September if charges don't get dropped. So that's, it's kind of serious.
I mean, you see the chemistry, too, with O'Brien and Eckersley. Like, on the I forget which walk-off it was. That sounds crazy to say that out loud. But the one, I think it was the longer, the
11th inning.
The 11th inning. But it was also a call when he goes, Dave O'Brien hits the ball and goes, "Yep, oh, we can go home now." Like that one was great. And then as soon as they popped the bat, Eckersley was like, "Oh, there it is." And O'Brien's like, "We can go home now." And it was like, it does take some comfort level to say stuff like that. And I think Eckersley and O'Brien could be that duo that has that level of chemistry if you just keep them together. And NESN is just screwing the pooch on this one and not keeping them together. So hopefully, they go through it, and bet NESN pays attention to their ratings, because there's always stats about how much they've dropped. I guarantee you NESN has the best ratings when those two do games together, because as much as it's not Orsillo and Remy, they do have chemistry, and Eckersley's really good, and O'Brien's pretty funny when he has his moments, so that's got to be what NESN sticks with. And please, for the love of God, get rid of the updates around the league, all the Red Sox games going on, the stupid sidebar. Don't care. I don't care I don't care what Brock Holt's favorite song is. Don't care.
Please stay in the park. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care about the commercials either. But it's just why are you showing me what goes on inside the park? I know what goes on inside the park. I mean, anybody can figure it out. They just get ready, they warm up, and they go out there. They sit down, they get on their helmets, their batting gloves. It's just, I don't like it. I hate that sidebar. I absolutely hate it. I do like how sometimes they have the facts, not like Brock Holt's favorite songs, but Andrew Benintendi's 3 for 13 against this pitcher. I like the stats about players in the game, not
put those in the graphic literally every other broadcast does underneath the guy when he's hitting.
Yeah, I don't.
Why do I got to see it when he's on? Why do I got to see it when he's sitting on the bench chewing gum?
I follow these guys on Instagram and on Twitter. I can figure that out from just stalking them a little bit.
If anyone wants to care about those stats, they're going to go find them. No one needs to be shoved them in their face on a TV broadcast. But I digress. It's never going to get better, so it's okay. A couple things around the league. Obviously, a lot happening in the Red Sox world. But tonight, as we speak, Mike Trout, his 1,000th hit. Mind you, today is his 26th birthday. Guy is 26 years old, has 1,000 career hits, joins a really, really pristine club. I know, as much as I hate to say it, A-Rod's in that club. There's a lot of great hitters in that club. Another example of how Mike Trout is just being wasted away on the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, 26 years old. He's young. He's a baby, and it blows my mind. 1,000 hits, and I don't know if you saw the video of him in the clubhouse afterwards, just getting eggs and Slurpees.
Destroyed. It was great.
So much fun, and there was a crazy stat that popped up actually on my time hop from 2 or 3 years ago. It was either his 23rd or 24th birthday, obviously, and they were saying that he had homered in the last 2 of his games on his birthday, and here he goes again, just doing what he's doing. And it sucks that, I mean, he's a great player, he's a great hitter, there's no doubt about that. And I mean, on the West Coast, we're not going to hear too much about it, but so much fun. I mean, he's so fun to watch, and it sucks that the Angels aren't, the best team right now or whatever, but he's something special. And he's only 26, 1,000 career hits. This guy, he's good. He's something special.
Oh, I hope they get him off the Angels at some point. He needs to win a World Series, and it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there. They're just not. They're not running that team the right way. They're not rebuilding. They're not giving them successful teams. They obviously brought in Pujols back then, and they had the good teams for a while with him. But he's not going to win a World Series in LA. That's for sure. Okay, so one other thing I want to talk about, or you want to talk about, because you put it on here, which is intriguing to me actually. Several pitchers are actually wearing safety inserts in the caps. Now, I saw a little bit about this. Lauren, what is this all about?
Well, I know we saw Robbie Ray last week get shelled in the head. Couple stitches. He's on the concussion protocol. Luckily he's okay. And it's definitely very scary. I read an article, was it Schumacher, I think it was, got hit in the head. He had to have emergency brain surgery, and he said he's been wearing it ever since. And I don't know too much about it, but I know a lot of pitchers have been starting. A lot of St. Louis Cardinals players have been wearing them, and I think it's a necessity for any pitcher. I don't know I used to be a softball pitcher, and that ball coming back at you, we're not throwing 90, 80 to 100 miles an hour. We're, like 50 to 70 miles an hour, still pretty fast. But that ball's coming at you, and it comes at your face. Like, there is just that one, not even second you have to react. And it's like the scariest thing. You just see this ball come at your face. And, I can't imagine getting hit in the head. I've been hit by line drives. I've been hit by pitches, but never in the head, knock on wood. But I think it's a good step in the right direction. I don't think people really take it too seriously, because it doesn't happen often, but you don't want it to happen to somebody in this era ever, that it ends their career, even their life, because it hits you in the right spot in the head. It's going to kill you, and it's extremely unfortunate. And, so there's so many good pitchers in the league. There's so many they're young, they have lives and families outside of the game. And I think anything to protect them in any aspect is definitely a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that, it's very practical for sure. I think it's only going to help, and I think it's important for players to do what they need to do to feel safe, and I think that's a big step for them to, start to vitalize that. Maybe someday it isn't a CBA where it's required or something like that. I can't imagine anytime soon. But, a batting helmet wasn't always required either, and now everyone has to wear one. So it's just another evolution of the game, a possibility where everyone maybe has to wear it at some point. But you don't really know until you kind of, things happen and you learn from experiences. So maybe this is something where players are starting to respond to it, and maybe eventually it gets put into the rules. But who knows? But I do like seeing it. I think it's something that's awesome that the players are taking it into their own hands to kind of worry about their own safety, which is good, because sometimes the leagues just don't care. Okay. Before we get out of here, we'll have to talk about a lot tonight. Of course, no Jess, so no master predictions. But we have 5 upcoming games here. Very important games, Lauren, because like I said, they're under 500 in the AL East this year. The Red Sox are. And now you have 2 in Tampa against the Trop. Wade Boggs on the call. And then you have 3 back here in the Bronx against the Yankees, who are obviously fighting for you first place. Same with the Rays if you lose both those. But, right now, Red Sox didn't play tonight. Coming up, big week in the division. Lauren, going down to Florida, you have to win both those games, right?
You do, and I have them sweeping the Rays. I know that they've been, pretty good in the AL, but this is the Red Sox time. They're hot right now. They're coming off the 7-2 homestand, 6-0 week, and this is their time to really get ahead in the AL. Especially, they have 5 games against AL opponents, so they really need to make them count. And I want to say Chris Sale's on the mound, but we saw what he can do when he's human. So, I do think, despite, having a little concern that Chris Sale is human and that he is capable of having crappy outings, that they're going to take 2 from them. Like I said, they're hot. Nunez, Devers, Moreland, just everybody is just absolutely heating up. Even Benintendi, after a couple games off, it's just his bat's starting to heat up again. So I see this team really just kind of breaking out in this next week.
Yeah, you have to win the 2 in Florida, especially with the 3 coming against the Bronx against the Yankees. No question on, especially the way this team is playing right now, that you don't win both those games in Florida. You might get some weird bounces because it's the Trop, but I think you win those 2. And then there's really against the Yankees where I think you have issues, Lauren. I think you lose 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. I'm pretty convinced still that I see some holes still in this team. I don't think they're consistent yet. Obviously, they're playing well. Not taking anything away from them. I still think this team's going to win the division. But I think there's still some holes to make this team lose against the Yankees team, who just made deals as well, right? They made trades to make themselves better on the fly because they weren't expecting to be this good this year, and they made trades to fill their small holes as well. And I think the Yankees get the best out of you in the Bronx. You lose 2 out of 3 in 2 weeks, not the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, Red Sox fans might be a little disappointed after leaving the Bronx.
There's the pessimist we know and love.
Have to.
I mean, I definitely disagree with you. I think they're going to take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. I know they're going into the Bronx. Aaron Judge obviously is just on a tear. The trades they made at the deadline, I get it. The Yankees are a good team. They're making their way back up in the standings. But like I said, this is the Red Sox time to break away in the division, really just kind of solidify a solid, good chunk of lead in the division. And I think we're going to be saying it from here on out every week that this is an important week of games, and this is especially important right now. Like I said, we're in August, coming up on September, and pretty soon, before we know it, playoff baseball is going to be here, and we really need to fight for first place in this division. And I know the Yankees are really good. I hate saying that, but they're pretty good. And as much as I have, some concerns going into the series, I don't see them losing more than 1 game.
Stop wishing away the season, Lauren, because then it's going to be winter meetings and we'll be depressed and upset in the snow doing these shows. I never
wish away the
season.
So
you're slowly wishing away the season here, Lauren. But look, I just think that at some point, this team's playing really well right now. And I wouldn't be surprised, honest to God, Lauren, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 5-0 this week. I wouldn't be, because that's the way they're playing right now. But they're going to take a step back. And I think, the way they've played this year in the division, you're not going to lose to the Rays, but at the same time, the Yankees are the team who are good, and you hate to say it because we're Red Sox fans, but at the same time, we have to be critical of it. The Yankees are a lot better than a lot of people thought they were going to be because the young kids are playing well, and now they were able to add some pieces to make themselves better. And look, they made a push. You were just out of first place, and I was one of the ones who said you're not going to lose first place again this year, and they did. They went back to second place. So maybe that was a wake-up call. Maybe it's a David Price thing. But this team is playing together right now. Lauren has them going 4-1. I have them going 3-2. Jess doesn't exist this week. Sorry, buddy. So that being said, we'll leave it at that. See how the week of baseball pans out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @RedSox_beat. Facebook, of course, search Red Sox Beat Podcast. Please go rate, review, and subscribe the crap out of this on iTunes, as well as if you're listening on Stitcher, don't leave a review there as well. CLNS Media, go follow us on Twitter, Facebook as well, the podcast app, and of course, don't forget to keep an eye out for the new website launch of clnsmedia.com, so keep your eye out there. You've seen all the rebranding, we're doing great things, so definitely check that out as well. Shout out to our friends at SeatGeek. Don't forget the Garden Report promo code when you're in the settings tab. You get that $20 rebate. Lauren, great show. As always, held it down. Jess, hope you enjoyed your week off. Probably in bed. Lucky. But we'll be back next week. For Lauren, I am Jared here. We'll be back next week. This is Red Sox Beat on CLNS Media. Enjoy the week, everyone.